On August 1st, Spanish naval authorities assume legal jurisdiction over a small piece of European soil. 6 months later, that authority passes quietly to France. This rotation happens at the western edge of the Pyrenees Mountains, where the natural frontier between France and Spain descends toward the Atlantic coast. The Bidassoa River serves as the physical boundary. Along the northern bank sits the French town of Hendaye. Directly opposite, on the southern bank, is the Spanish city of Irún. In the channel between these two towns sits Pheasant Island. Its alternating governance follows a legally binding system, established to resolve a persistent spatial deadlock. International river borders typically follow the deepest navigable channel. Applied to the Bidassoa, Pheasant Island blocks this exact path. Assigning the island to Spain cuts off French northern navigation. Doing the opposite blocks Spanish southern access for the people of Irún. Because this tidal estuary is so narrow, it is impossible to navigate a vessel through the channel without entering the waters surrounding the island. For centuries, this spatial bottleneck led to frequent clashes between French and Spanish fishers, proving that local geography can force diplomacy into a standoff. By the middle of the 17th century, France and Spain were exhausted by decades of warfare. Both kingdoms needed to negotiate a settlement, but royal etiquette created a final hurdle. Protocol dictated that neither kingdom's negotiator could step onto the other's soil, as doing so would signal submission to a rival power. Pheasant Island offered a solution. It was an uninhabited, neutral space located exactly between the two empires. To maintain parity, engineers built twin footbridges. These allowed both delegations to step onto the island at the exact same second. Maintaining the island's neutrality allowed both empires to protect their sovereign pride while they finalized the peace. This visualization reconstructs the diplomatic pavilion built for the treaty. The room was split down the middle, with one half decorated by Paris and the other by Madrid. Inside this divided space, the negotiators drew the modern borders of Western Europe and finalized the marriage of King Louis XIV to the Spanish Infanta. Over the following centuries, the physical environment changed. Heavy tidal flows and floods began to wash away the silt and gravel of the island. By 1856, the island had become too small to practically divide into two sovereign halves. French Emperor Napoleon III and Queen Isabella II of Spain resolved the issue through the Treaty of Bayonne. They designated the island as a perpetual bilateral condominium. Instead of dividing the land by square meters, they divided administrative control by the calendar year. The 6-month rotation functions as a pragmatic compromise that stabilizes the management of the river. Today, Pheasant Island is a lush ecological sanctuary. It is closed to the public to protect the birds and wildlife resting on the banks. The only structure remaining is a stone monolith erected in 1861, which carries inscriptions in both French and Spanish, commemorating the 1659 treaty. Every 6 months, the handover is carried out by official naval personnel or municipal workers who step ashore to transfer jurisdiction and maintain the grounds. Only meters away, the local residents of the Basque borderlands cross the river bridges daily for work and school. For the people living on these banks, the alternating administration of the island stands as a piece of shared regional heritage in their backyard. Modern borders are often viewed as rigid, permanent lines, where a piece of land must belong entirely to one nation. Pheasant Island demonstrates that international law can accommodate shared stewardship, allowing two nations to hold the same territory in common. This site remains the oldest active diplomatic condominium in the world, with its handover protocols executed twice every year. The island remains a functional example of diplomacy, showing that when dividing a physical space is impractical, sharing it can create a lasting stability.